Welcome to the Lotco Business Podcast, a show all about helping you as a retailer, brand, or creative understand the actual business side of running your business. I offer straightforward, practical advice about the nitty-gritty of making money from your creative passion. We will be covering bite-sized business and marketing lessons, as well as interviews with experts and trailblazers in the fashion, homewares, and design industries. My name is Melissa Robbins. I'm a business coach, colour-loving, non-coffee drinking Melburnian. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to today's podcast. I'm super excited to have a special guest today, Yvette Mayer, who is an intuitive business coach who is an expert in human design and especially in human design marketing. I have worked with Yvette personally myself, so I know exactly what she's got to offer, and it's so amazing, and I'm so looking forward to chatting with her today. Thank you, Yvette, for being here.
Thanks, Mel, for having me. I'm super excited to be talking to you. I loved doing a reading with you and getting to know you through your body graph or your chart, and I'm sure we're going to touch on that, I'm sure, as we chat today. So thanks. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, I'm just, when I dived into some of the stuff that we talked about, I'm like, oh my gosh, people need to know more about this. And I'm sure you see a lot come up, like that whole. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into what is human design and all the different things, because I think we can't dive into too much without actually explaining what you actually do. So let's just go back a tiny bit before we go into what you do right now. You have had a variety of things in your career. You worked in corporate. Can you tell me a little bit about that journey and that transition that you made?
So interesting, because it's been over 5 years since I left corporate now, as I'm finally getting to the point where this feels like a big part of my journey versus something new. However, 30 years in corporate, so 5 versus 30. I got my start at 17 in an ad agency and essentially worked my way right to the top of the business, global roles. Worked in London, spent 5 years in New York in the not too distant past. And there was a lot to enjoy and love, but I found as I matured as a human that I started to feel out of alignment around things like values and culture. And it really came to a head when I was diagnosed with breast cancer in my late 30s.
Young, so young.
Yeah, it was like just one of those defining moments in life, not surprisingly, where everything came into question. And the biggest thing that I realised was that I'd been living my life largely on autopilot. And I think we can all be guilty of this, where we get on a path and we kind of put our blinders on and continue down that path. And that's what I'd done. I'd gotten onto a path at 17, and that path was rewarding. It was, great for my ego. I built an incredible high-profile career. But at a soul level, it wasn't fulfilling me. But I had no freaking clue what else I could do, because even at that point, it had been over 20 years. And that's actually when I decided to. Yeah, it was a long time. That's when I decided to move to New York. So I didn't leave. I just, in that moment, realised I had to do something to shake myself up and have a new experience of life. And I also had a deep desire to leave the industry, but because I had no clue and I had all the financial responsibilities that come with a life you've built from that kind of career, I decided to transfer to our New York office. But I also went to New York with a goal of figuring out what I would do beyond my corporate career. So that was a process. I didn't figure it out in New York. I studied health coaching. I became a qualified yoga teacher, studied how to write a blog, all different things. But I ended up getting headhunted back to a big role at home. Came back to Australia as the managing director of a 300-person ad agency. And honestly, if I go back, I knew it wasn't a good move, actually. Like, I knew that it was like going to be high pressure and what I was looking to.
Yeah, but it's one of those things, like it's what you should do, or it's the natural progression, and it's a good opportunity. Yeah. So, yeah, all the things that you're like I guess, as you say, like, it's learned behavior that you sort of go into that. But yeah, as you said, intuitively, you're probably like, I'm not sure. But why would you not take it? People would have said you had been mad to not take it, for example.
Yeah, well, there were reasons not to. I mean, I'd just been offered green card sponsorship at the same time. That being said, I'm an older woman. I'm over 50, and I was feeling the kind of the tension around family and the fact that my mum and dad were both not doing so well health-wise. And, I'd been moved to New York, so life picked up, travel business class, furniture, the works. And so I had everything in New York. So when this opportunity came along, it was like, oh, how could I say no? Because it was the same thing, right? Coming back the other way. And so financially, it felt like a bit of a no-brainer. Family-wise, it was a big tick. Heart and soul-wise, I tried to get myself on board. Not. It wasn't a hell yes. And I even said no when I was offered this role. I said, no, this is not what I want to do. Like, I was honest in this process. But then I came round to the idea that maybe I'd been working with the same network for 17 years and this was a change. So I kind of got myself on board with maybe this is going to be better than I'm expecting. Maybe I'm going to really enjoy this. As it went, it was the tipping point. It was the hell to the no. This is so much more stressful than the work I was doing in New York. It was, I actually felt really trapped and stuck in that role. Like, what have I built myself? I feel like I'm in chains here. So that was a good thing because it really was the final friction that got me to make the decision to leave. I had enough time in that process to put big chunks of money away to allow a soft landing because I didn't have all that much clarity. And I think that's quite common when you're first getting into business for yourself. I knew that I wanted freedom. I wanted to feel lit up. I wanted to feel fulfilled. I didn't know how it was going to unfold. I was selling doTERRA essential oils. I had a network marketing business and earning a little bit of money from that. So I thought maybe that was what was going to be the direction. But as it went, within 6 months, I lent into those health coaching skills and became a coach. Started marketing my business online, went hard into LinkedIn because of my corporate profile. And very quickly, people started coming to me for coaching, but they weren't coming for health coaching. They were coming for me because they'd met me, they'd worked with me, they'd been in a meeting with me, like they had an experience of my personal brand.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
That was my runway into what is now a successful coaching business.
And so where did the human design come into it? Like, when did you discover that, or when did you find out more about that?
Yeah, this is a cool story, actually. So my mentor, Emma Dunwoody, who's the highest profile human design coach in Australia and a very global presence, she and I met when I was running a essential oils workshop before I left my corporate career. And at the time, she'd really just started to dive into human design herself and offer it as a paid service. And I was in this, I'd resigned, but I didn't really know what was going on. And so it was just divine timing that she had this opportunity to learn more about myself and how I was designed to succeed. That was, I'm a very spiritually aligned or inclined person around all the woo-woo things. And so I was a quick yes. I think outside of her family, I may have even been her first reading that she ever did. So my introduction to human design was timely because I'd already had the realization that I wanted to feel lit up and liberated. That was how I was defining what I wanted for myself beyond corporate. And when she did my chart unpack, and she explained to me that I'm a generator and that I'm literally designed to only do things that light me up, I was like, what did you just say? Of course. That is what? Yeah, so that was the beginning. And then over the years, I've worked with her privately. I've done her mastermind where you qualify to read human design for others. I wasn't intending for this to become a big part of my business. I studied with her because I'd had so much realization around my own purpose and potential that I wanted to better understand my clients as well. One of the things I realized early in human design is because energetically we are quite different depending on our type. I was observing that with my own clients that other energy types were more difficult for me to understand, like how they worked, how to motivate them, what was going to move them forward. And so I originally did the mastermind so that I could unpack my clients' charts, even if I didn't tell them, honestly, just so I knew how to serve them better.
It makes so much sense. Like for me, when I had my mastermind clients, that's part of it is doing the human design because I'm as you know, a manifesting generator, and so I go fast and take action quickly and like really at high speed, and so to understand how other people work just makes such a huge difference. You're like, okay, well that makes sense why they're like that, and as you say, how to get the best out of them.
Yeah, I can't coach you the same way. You just can't. You can't coach them like a projector. I've had a lot of projector clients, and that was what was popping up for me the most in the beginning. They're wired so differently to generator types, and rather than me feeling lost and like, what? They're not, they're not going to do what I tell them at the speed I think that they should be doing it. Like, that's not a
Yep.
thing.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. And we'll get into, if anyone who isn't there yet, we'll get into what some of the types mean and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, okay, so you really, and then, I mean, from there, you really then, as you said, like started that first. Well, how does it, because of your background and your previous career, how does that lend into the marketing side? So
Yeah.
tell us about a little bit about how you sort of then got to that point.
It's been quite the process of evolution in my business. And so it was 3 years into my business as a coach that I went through a bit of a dark night of the soul. Things aren't working as well as they once were. I think this is fairly common, by the way, and not just about the 3 year mark, but it was also, I launched and evolved into a business coach. So I started as a more life coach, but did any type of coaching, to be honest. Within a year, realized that the thing that I'm most naturally talented at doing is helping businesses with their business and marketing. Surprise, surprise, after my career. Business exploded in the middle of COVID, by the way. So many people coming online, so much opportunity, everything's flying. And then, a couple of years later, I'm like, things actually I'm feeling stuck, like things aren't working as well. And I decided, well, I'm going to lean more into my design because, a lot of the time people come into human design and they gain the knowledge, but they don't embody it. And I was feeling like I could embody it more. And in that process, I came back to me and I really started to connect into my genius more. And then I started to experiment with, well, what if I apply this to how I show up as a marketer? Then I launched a program, nothing to do with human design, but for the first time I decided to offer a human design for marketing 15-minute reading as a bonus because I'd been playing with it, and it was the first time I'd really launched something that was very energetically driven. So there was EFT tapping, there was a lot more about how to raise your own frequency, but it wasn't about human design at that point. So I added this bonus in. And then I was like, oh, this is fun, but how do I actually do that? So then I had to go on this journey of figuring out what's my opinion of how you do that.
Yeah.
But doing that and providing those readings, I got all of this like such amazing feedback. People were blown away. They were like, oh, this is it. This has changed everything. And I just in that moment was like, oh, wow, I've kind of stumbled into an area that is so natural for me, that feels easy, that is creating...
Lights you up, I'm sure.
Yeah, lights me up, that's really impacting others. And still, I wasn't like, that's going to be a front-facing thing in my business, but I, over time, was like, you know what, I might just experiment with doing paid readings and see, do I like it? Does it light me up? Does it drain me? And so it was like small steps. And then after I started doing readings, and then it was like the floodgates of, oh my God, Yvette, this is like, you have to do more of this. That was like, I got the drop in, and this was just 18 months ago. All happened in a very like spiritual woo way. I went down to the beach on the new moon at the end of 2022, and I was surrounded by white butterflies and bees on the beach. And yeah, I was like, what is going on? And so I sat down after going for a walk and I did what you do, Google, what is the meaning of white butterflies and bees? And the meaning of the white butterflies was surrender to the change or the transformation that wants to come through. And the bees are hardworking. So I was like, I think that this is a sign that I surrender to human design and marketing being something that I like completely focus on, even though there's going to be a lot of work involved in getting this to where I want it to go. Yeah, so that was it. Made the decision on the beach, like pretty much like that once that happened, and forever changed the trajectory of my business. And it's been phenomenal. Like I've never experienced the kind of growth, just the community that I've built, the amount of engagement I now experience is just night and day from what it was before.
I want to touch on that. I saw a post you put the other day, like, why do people follow you? And, some of the feedback you got back. What were some of the things people said? Like, what is the reason they're attracted or they're engaged or that they want to be part of what you're doing?
It was really mixed, but it was so fun to do that and to hear from people. And even though they didn't say because of how you're designed, they described like you're so magnetic. So the words I got over and over again was you're just so magnetic. And I'm magnetic because I'm aligned to my design in my marketing. Like I know I'm magnetic now. I didn't think that about myself before, but now I know how to activate the right things in my marketing that light me up, and that light is my magnetism. So that's been a big shift. Yeah. I mean, they also, depending on the person, some people were like, long-term follower, I just freaking love watching what you do. There were people who were just like, I love everything you teach on human design for marketing. So there was a wide variety, but a lot of it was magnetism.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Will Haywood, host of All Business, No Boundaries, a podcast where we talk about supply chains and the critical role they play across all kinds of businesses. On this podcast, it's not just logistics, it's the power to break down barriers. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Interesting. And so let's just go back, because there's obviously a lot of people who are listening who are like, what the heck are you talking about? What is human design? And I mean, when I first discovered it, I was blown away, and I'm obsessed with it as well. As you know, I've dived into it quite a bit, but it is something that I've started to explore and add into different, conversations with clients and any, family members. I'm always like, let's do your chart. Let's have a look. And it is such a thing that, it is that combination, I think, a bit of an art and science in terms of once you do discover it, though, I feel I just get blown away by how aligned it is to understand people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, it just, when I read it about other people, I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Well, your kids or your partner or anything like that, it's like, this makes it easier to then work with each other too and understand each other.
I'll tell you what, I went to a conference recently on human design, and I listened to someone who specializes in how to raise children by design. Gosh, that was fascinating.
Yes.
You would love it. Yeah. Seriously. I don't have children, but I was like, my nieces, my nephews, oh my goodness. Yeah. Just so true.
Well, I have a projector and a manifesting generator. So that was interesting too. Like the projector, I was like, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense to me now that I've learned a little bit more about him, the energy and the way he does things. So let's tap into that a tiny bit in terms of what are the different types?
Yeah. Okay. So there are 5 human design types, and well, one of the types is a blend. So I'm going to tell you what the 5 types are, including the blend. So think about this as I describe it in this way. So you've got the generator, who is the worker bee. This is the energy of the planet. This is the life force of the planet. It's the people that love to work and feel very satisfied by producing work. Like it's like engine, right? This is 35-ish% of the population. Generator, I'm one. We are driven by fulfillment, funny words given what I've already spoken to you about, and a desire to feel into our light. So it is only aligned for us, if we're going to succeed, to focus on what lights us up and to let go of the things that drain us. And the more we do that, the more vigilant we are, the more success will come our way. We're also designed to strategically operate in response to the world, not to go and innovate or create from nothing, but to allow our natural light to attract things to us. And then we have a very sacral life force that is going to say yes or no to things, depending on other factors, but the sacral is a big thing for a generator. So that's the first type. The next one I'm going to talk about is the manifester. So the manifester is the opposite. The manifester is the initiator, is the creative force, is the natural born leader, and with it has less energy than a generator. So actually really needs generator energy to help get things done. So think of somebody who has lots of great ideas, who's amazing in a room, but they don't have the energy to complete everything. That's not how they're designed. They're very strong, they're powerful, they tend to be misunderstood because they're just this natural force in the world. So as kids, they can have a bit of a hard time. They are quick to anger because they don't feel so understood.
So that's when they're out of alignment, anger is there.
Yeah, out of alignment. Yeah, they go to anger. When they are in alignment, they just want everything to feel peaceful. Like they don't want that friction, but peaceful with their power. It's like respect. Bit of a revolutionary kind of energy as well. The thing with them is strategically, they're designed to have more success when they remember to let others know what they're doing, because they're so headstrong that they're likely to change directions and not inform the stakeholders. And when I say stakeholders, that could be the husband/wife, that could be their team, that could be the audience inside of social media. And so they have these strong urges to go off and invent or initiate something new. But for them to succeed, it's about pausing to inform others that they're changing directions so that they don't lose them in the process. So that's the manifester. Manifestors are 10% of the populations. Then we have the Mani-Gen, which is what you are, which is a mix of the two. Traditionally taught as a more generator type because they have the same life force as a generator, which is when you get into how it's about having a sacral definition. So this is that worker bee energy. It's in you as well as a Mani-Gen. But the difference is that there is this more innovative, creative, more likely to want to start something new. Okay, so the trick with a manifesting generator is I believe, to actually understand both the generator and the manifestor profile, because at an individual level, you're going to have a different experience of how this lives inside of your body. Overall, you're still designed to feel, or you're still on strategy and aligned when you're lit up. So it's the same, right? You're focused on things that light you up. But when the manifestor gets involved, you're less likely to feel lit up by the same thing for a long period of time. You have these urges and you want to go in new directions, and that can mean that you don't complete. Like you don't complete the things that you were working on because you're too busy with the new bright, shiny object in front of you.
So true, yeah.
And yes, and you go a million miles an hour, oh no, I want to do this here, and you go off in that direction, and you don't necessarily let people know that you've kind of changed course, and so you can actually experience some of the same challenges around not informing that a manifestor can. The Mani-Gen, I always am a bit envious of a Mani-Gen because you have all the energy and you have the ability to initiate others. So, if I could choose to be a profile, it would be a Manny-Gen, honestly. So you're blessed in that way. And I find a lot of successful entrepreneurs are Manny-Gens. The last thing I would say about Manny-Gens is the scale. So they're nearly as big as generators. So it's like, I think actually generators is like 36, 37. Manny-Gens is more like 33, 34% of the population. So together, 70% of the population are either a generator or a manifesting generator. So just know that 70% of the population has this life force energy that is dragging things towards them, that's magnetizing. So 70% of the population is attracting things toward them to respond to and has a very strong sacral life force and is really designed to respond to what life is bringing towards you. 70% of the population are designed to only do things that light them up, trusting that when they're in their light, the light turns on inside of them that lights up the world and creates the energetic abundance that we experience. So the vast majority of the population are like this. We're really here to find the things that feel amazing for us and to focus on those things. For the generator, that can be one thing for a really long period of time. For a Manny-Gen, it's going to be many things over a lifetime. It's going to be changes and evolution. And so I always think in business, generators can have a niche. Manny-Gens are going to struggle with a small niche. So Manny-Gens are better to have a big mission and like a broader movement with headroom for kind of changing directions within that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what I've dived into, that part of it, like that it's okay to sort of not be, and this is where in general, and we'll get to the other two energies, but it's okay to be different to what other people are doing and or the way they do things because of who you are. And so you don't, by understanding your design more, you can really live truer to who you are and not just be the same as what you see other people do.
100%, because out in marketing land, out on social media, 9 times out of 10, you're going to come across a coach telling you that you have to have a niche. There is no other way to succeed in business. But it's, based on their own journey and what's worked for them, it's not going to work for everybody. It just won't. You won't be happy. And do you want to build a business that you're not happy in?
And so the projector or which one which are the other two? Yep.
Okay, so at the moment when I think about human design, we're talking about what's on the ground. Now we go up. We go up to the projector. The projector is like seeing out in front. So think of a helicopter with the light shining out in front of the manifestor. The projector is here to guide and to be able to see what's coming and whether things make sense or not. You can also think of a projector as a leader, but somebody that leads from behind. They're not like forceful, like manifestor energy. They're like more wise, big picture thinking, able to see the long game and whether this is the right direction or not. Now, the projector has a lot less life force energy. They don't have their sacral lit up in their body graph. I know this is hardcore human design speak, okay. But hopefully some of you will follow
We'll get people to do their chart afterwards and then it will make more sense as well. Yeah,
100%. Yeah. So the projector has less energy. They're really here to work smarter, not harder. Like that's a big, big thing for the projector energy. They tend to need to be supported by systems and structures and processes so that they can be more potent in less time because they have the things around them to allow them, to hold them, to give them the space to rest when they need to rest and be on when they're on. In terms of alignment, projectors are driven by feeling successful. Now, this looks different for everybody because it's about your own measure of success. Like for a projector, it's like what makes you feel successful. That's the thing. For many of them, it's recognition. It's being seen. It's being valued. Now, the projector is incredibly wise and has a lot to say and a lot to share. Their biggest challenge is that not everybody wants to hear everything they've got to say. That they and their strategy for success is actually waiting for an invitation to share their wisdom or speak is the language for it, rather than kind of interjecting and wanting to share, well, this is the way you should go. Like, this is what's going to happen if you don't go that direction. This is what's going to happen if you do. And you know, they're surrounded by generators who are like, hang on a minute, we're just doing our thing over here. We don't care. So tell me what to do. You know, this depends on a lot of other things in the chart, but that can be an experience of a projector, is they feel like they're not being heard. They're not being valued, and it's not about them. It's about the other person not wanting to be told what to do. So for them to really succeed, they need to be patient, because they have so much value, and when someone sees that, they're just irresistible, 100% irresistible. It's like, have to learn from you. You have so much more depth. You have such a bigger view of the more context, and they have this ethereal kind of guiding light energy as well, like this. It's not the big energy, it's the potent, irresistible knowing, right? That's a very projector energy. That projectors, when they're out of alignment, are going to feel bitter, like it's easier for everybody else. I know you're thinking about your projector child as I'm talking about this.
It's so easy to sort of match up to their behaviours and stuff. Yeah, once you know.
Yeah. And I'm thinking of my niece as well, who's a projector as I speak. So, you know, they're going to feel bitter and like it's hard and like, nah, it's easier for everybody else. And then when they're aligned, it's this like, oh no, I'm a success. Like, I feel like I am actually winning at life is when they're in their zone. So beautiful, potent leadership energy. And the biggest advice is to trust that you are already naturally shining in a way that attracts people to you. The other thing I say as a projector is, in marketing, don't be afraid to give more away than you feel comfortable with, because it's actually when you demonstrate your unique brilliance, that way of seeing things, and go to the point of, oh, this feels like it's something people should pay for, that you're properly seen and valued, and then reciprocity kicks in. People actually want to pay you when they can see your value.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So that's our projector, and projectors are 20%. So 1 in 5 people are projectors. And then our last type, which is only 1%, very, very special, is the reflector. So you're not going to meet a lot of reflectors, and when you do, it's like, unicorn, I want to get to know you, I want to understand you. They're closest in type to the projector, because they're actually completely different, but they have the least amount of energy in them, and they actually rely on the energy of others to move them through the world. And they're also, of all the types, they're the only type that is governed by the moon, not the sun.
Okay.
So a reflector is really here to reflect back other people's energies. So they're going to mirror you in a lot of ways when you meet them. And I have a lot of reflector in my chart, actually. You're going to feel like they see you, and that they make you feel amazing, because they respond to you in exactly the way that is great for you. They don't need to think about this. It's like this chameleon shape-shifting into, I will tune into the other, and I'm going to be the version of me to match that person. That's a natural thing that happens as a reflector. There's also a lot of, like, I in the way I teach human design, I depict this one as like the blimp that sees everything. They're not just seeing out in front like the projector, they're like fully seeing everything above and like 360. And they're not looking out like at the future necessarily. They're looking at what is the now and what is healthy for the environment, is how I would describe it. What is healthy right now? And there's this level of perception and understanding that no other type has. So it is a very unique energy. It's an energy of listening more than speaking, but it's a complete mind reader energy as well. Now, one of the hard things about being a reflector is to be on strategy. It's about waiting for a full lunar cycle, which is a month. Yeah, to make big decisions, to have drop-ins and realizations. And I think in marketing, it's like that is not realistic. Like, you can't wait a month to make decisions. Maybe if it's a big decision, like I'm going to create a brand new product or I'm going to change directions. But I think more important for a reflector is to own this perception in them and use that for the good of the marketing. It's like, how can I tune into what people want right now? That's the clue. And that's it. That's our 5 types. But you can kind of see how they work together. That's why I kind of, if you're a visual learner, you're thinking of if you're looking at this, you've got the reflector right up high in the blimp. Then you've got the helicopter with the light shining out the front. And then down on the ground, you've got the worker bee energy at the back of the generator, moving. Out in the front is the manifestor looking for new opportunities. And the managen is in between, kind of pivoting, supporting, and also, having those urges as well.
It's so fascinating. And so people can go and get their chart there's lots of different places. I can put a link in the show notes to get it. And it comes back to your time of birth and where you're born and the alignment at that stage. And so I do explain it a little bit to people, and you might have a better explanation. It's a bit like star signs and personality test in one.
Yeah, well, the way I would describe it is astrology is just one input, right? So it's a combination of 4 ancient wisdoms, including astrology, from all diverse parts of the world. And we're talking 3,000 BC. So the I Ching, the Kabbalah system, astrology, the chakra system are the ancient wisdoms. Diverse, right? I'm talking kind of Judaism, France, when it comes to Kabbalah. Astrology is from Greece. The chakra system is from India. The I Ching is from China. All of these things synthesized, mathematically mapped together. You can't make up the fact that that's possible, right? It's like, it's so true that you can't make it up, that these disparate wisdoms can be fused. And then added together with that, quantum physics, which is more modern wisdom, makes up the inputs. And yes, the output is akin to having done a personality test, but it's not influenced by how you answer the questions. It's purely based on your birth date and time and place.
And I think until someone actually sees their chart, you're sort of like, oh, okay. And then as soon as I've, explained it to people and they've looked at it, they've come back the next day and going, oh my gosh, like they've just done their whole family, and they've this just, it gets them so excited to see how insightful it is. And also, as you say, like that, how they make decisions. Or I think for mine, one of the things in my chart, I don't know if you remember doing, but all of my lines are sort of all in one direction or something like that at the gates maybe. And so I make decisions really quickly, and people are like, that makes more sense.
You've got sacral authority. And so with sacral authority, it's yes or no. You don't need time. And it's based on your gut feel.
And I can just do it really quickly. And people are like, how do you even do that? But it is very fascinating when you, and we could go on for hours, I'm sure. But there's all sorts of things people can look at. Obviously, there's different lines. Can you give us a little bit of a, very quick explanation of what a line is and what to look for there?
Absolutely. So the things you're going to learn about first and nerd out on are your type, which we've just spoken about, your authority, which is how you make decisions, and your profile. Profile, I find, has the most marketing insight. So it's something that I am deeply invested in understanding and supporting others with. The profile lines, when you first do your chart, you're going to get given a profile pair. So you're a 3-6 and I'm a 5-1. The profile lines run 1 to 6, and I won't explain where they come from on your chart, but you're going to have 2 profile lines and both are going to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. So actually, it's funny. Between us, we've got 4 lines covered. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, the 6 profile lines, they all have a distinct way of influencing the world. So it's about how your energy is perceived by others. Ra, who kind of downloaded the system, says that the profile lines are the costume of your purpose. So it's how other people feel your purpose, how they perceive you, how they receive your energy, how they are influenced by you, which is why they're so incredibly powerful for marketing. So I'll give you a little bit of insight on each of the 6 lines, and it doesn't matter which order your lines are in. For the sake of this, it doesn't really matter. And the profile lines show up in other places in your chart as well, but we're just going to talk about your profile pair. So it's always 1 through 6, and it's always the same basic influence. So if you have a line 1, like I do have a line 1, you're somebody that needs a strong foundation. That foundation is generally sought through investigating things, going deep into information and research, and that brings a feeling of safety. When I first learnt this about myself, it cracked me up because I'm the person who needs to learn something and cannot quit until I get to the bottom of it. Which also, from a marketing perspective, means that you actually master things. You spend the time to figure them out at a deep level, and that gives you a lot of authority in your marketing. So that's our line 1s. Line 2 is known as the hermit. So if you have a line 2 in your profile, you tend to be somebody who needs time in your own energy, in your own space. You need to hibernate at times. But the other thing about you that is more like dynamic is that what you do in your own space tends to be the things that other people want to learn. But you don't realize it because to you, it's just what you do. It's just what you do in your private space. You just do your thing. You don't think it's a gift or something that anyone else wants to know about. So it tends to be other people pulling you out of this private space, wanting things from you. It's called a projection line, which means that others are going to project what they want from you onto you. And then it's up to the line 2, whether you have the desire to come out of that space and share. So less easy as a marketing energy because a lot of it is leave me alone. I need to be in my line 2. I hear this from people. I need to hang out in my line 2 right now. But I think the biggest clue I can give you with a line 2 is listen to what people are asking you about because it's your gifts that they see in you that you don't necessarily realize that you have. And that's the thing to kind of focus on. The line 3, which you have as your first line, which means it's your more conscious line, is the experimenter. It's the adventurer, quest for experience in life, let's go, let's try things. Doesn't matter if I fail, I'll get back up again. You can't lose if you learn a lesson. That's the kind of line 3 energy. So, you may get a bit frustrated with yourself because you don't have the patience to wait necessarily. You're too gung-ho, I'm going to get out there and do all the things. And in your early part of your life, that may feel really hard and frustrating. It's I'm always falling over, I'm always making mistakes. But when you know this about yourself, you can start to see it's your superpower, that you're the one who has the lived experience to share with others. You don't speak from reading a book. You speak because you've been there, you've done that. Yeah, you actually can't authentically speak to things that you haven't done yourself as a line 3.
I do struggle with that. No, I've done these things, so this is what I'm talking to about. So it's definitely part of. I think when I discovered that, I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense, and all the different things you do lead to where you are now, type of thing as well. So yeah. Okay, line 4. What is it?
The first 3 lines are all energies where you need to learn things yourself. It's like an internal journey before you're ready to express them. The higher lines, the 4, 5, and 6, are humans or energies of I really want to, whatever I learn, I don't need to go deep before I just get out there and help other people. And it does matter which order your line's in, how this plays out, but I'll just keep going with the 6 lines before I talk about that. So line 4 is somebody that has a naturally friendly disposition. They are very driven by connecting with others. So can be known as the opportunist, always looking for an opportunity, but I don't think that does them justice. They're more really driven to connect with other people, whether that's networking, collaborating, just hanging out in other people's energy, friendly, warm, such amazing energy to be around. It's harder as a marketer because it's an one-on-one connection that 4 lines really crave, not a like, let me get out the front and teach you something. So as a line 4, when you're working with marketing, it's more about how can I connect with other people? Is it in groups? Is it through direct conversations? Is it through networking? Is it through affiliates? So it's a little bit nuanced around marketing when it comes to the 4. But the big thing about being a 4 is you are highly influential because people trust this beautiful energy of yours, this friendly nature of yours. And so because you like helping other people, you're really good at selling other people's products or being an influencer. Helping other people see that they need something is a like massive superpower.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Line 5, this is my dominant line, is somebody that I'll depict this as a natural leader that is completely driven by other people, desperate to help others, can actually be a bit of a rescuer in a less resourceful energy. It's like, who needs me? Who's broken? How can I fix that broken bird? Also has a projection line, just like the 2, because people are seeing a line 5 as somebody who has answers and solutions, because they're naturally out there trying to help things along and find practical ways to help others. The difficulty of this energy is a line 5 will be constantly asked for help. They kind of set up their own deal, and then they're like, I don't know all the answers. Why do you think I know all the answers? But it's just this 5 energy. But great thing about being a line 5 as a marketer is this is more somebody that does want to be out the front on a stage, being interviewed on a podcast, holding space, being seen as a leader. These are all things that come really naturally to a line 5 energy. It's very magnetic. So when I said to you, people are constantly telling me I'm magnetic, I'm like, well, of course I am. I'm a generator and I'm a line 5. I mean, I am so, like, my energy is so lit up that people want to be around me. And I have this natural way about me of, I can help you. That's been going on. Let me like, oh my God, I'm just thinking of yesterday. Someone I worked with 5 years ago posted a post on Facebook about how they're thinking of launching a course and which platform could they use. Within 10 minutes, I'm like booked in a call with her. I'm like, right, tell me exactly what you want. I'm like, I just did this yesterday. And then I'm like, I'm not much of a salesperson. So I'm also like, well, if you do sign up with this platform, I'll get an affiliate fee, but I don't want to pressure you. So that's the 5. And, interesting as well that she knows what I do, and she was so willing to get on a call with me because she knows that this about me, right? I'm there to help. I'm not there to like go, you have to do this and this and sign up with me, and that's going to, that's going to be a win
your main
for me.
purpose is that help. Like that's what you're there to try and do. And it's more aligned for you when you're doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then our last line, which is your second line, is the 6. 6 sits apart. It's a very different energy. It's somebody that goes through phases in their life where their influence is different. First 30 years is exactly the same as a line 3. Learns by doing, getting, falling down, getting back up again. Everything's a personal journey of what works and what doesn't work. Then the 6 energy at 30 kicks in with more curiosity for the bigger picture, like what else is going on? What can I learn from other people? Do I need to do more personal development to see things from another angle? This is a time called being on the roof as a line 6, where it's almost like a projector energy, or a reflector, like you're up high looking out, learning from everything that's going on around you and kind of connecting the dots from your own lived experience till 30 with what is the bigger picture here? How do things work for other people? And then at 50, the line 6 becomes what is known as the role model, where the dots have all connected and the wisdom is so innate and so deep that others are like, can I pick your brain? You're somebody that I want to be around. I respect you. Oh my goodness, you have this way of seeing the world and way of seeing things that make so much sense to me that I want to learn from. So 6s are very powerful teachers because of this, because of the way they process life. And really after 50, they get it. They get what's truly important. They don't sweat the small stuff. They appreciate, the rich rewards of being aligned, of being fulfilled versus living for, maybe being competitive or, keeping up with the Joneses. That like they really, that may have been an experience in their journey, but as they get over 50, they're like, that's not important. And so other people really have a lot to learn from a line 6.
And so how does that map into your marketing? Because one of the things I loved about our reading, and I know you've had feedback from other people, is like you see how other people are marketing or you get told to do certain things, but it really comes back to if you're knowing, as you say, your lines and a few other things, then you choose, but you're going to find it easier if you market in a way that suits your line style or your type.
Yeah. So I'm going to use you as my example for this. Okay. So you're a manifesting generator, 3-6 profile. So things that I know about you instantly are that you have an excitable energy, that you the things that light you up really light you up, and you can get going on a tangent pretty quickly. But that also you're interested and curious about a lot of things, and sometimes your direction is going to change. So what other people want to know from you is what's lighting you up, what's exciting you. Like the more you're in your light and you're sharing from that place of curiosity, the better. The other thing I'd say to you as a marketer is, as a Mani-Gen, is make sure that if you're changing direction, that it's explained to your audience, like, I've been doing this, here's what I'm learning, this is why I'm going to start integrating this type of thing into what I'm doing. So you don't lose. I watch Mani-Gen sometimes and they lose me because I'm like, hang on a minute. Last week you were selling shampoo and now you're selling me a confidence course. Like, what the hell is going on right now?
So true. Yeah.
Yeah. So as a Mani-Gen, I'd say, be clear on what drives you. What is this bigger thing that you're here to serve the world with? And then educate as you or help navigate the people that are following along with you to understand where you're going, why you're going in a slightly different direction, and how come and why that is therefore relevant for them. So that's your Mani-Gen. Mani-Gens tend to be more magnetic and charismatic on camera. So if you feel comfortable on camera, lean into that. It's a great environment for you. Then and also always listen to yourself, like what's lighting me up in my marketing right now. Do more of that. Anything that's like, oh, it's killing me, that it's just not going to work for you. So don't bother. Follow your sacral urge, the thing that's like, I have something to say. I have a perspective on this. That's what you want to really be listening to. So you're kind of going through life, letting things come towards you with your generator energy that you do have, responding to it with your perspective as a content strategy. That's really important. That's the Mani-Gen. Then as a 3-6, you have the 3 being the dominant line. Your credibility comes from teaching what you've been through, what you've learnt. Be really open and relatable about challenges and struggles, because that's going to deeply connect people. But of course, like any good hero's journey, you want the lessons to lead to the outcome that, is the thing that you're here to teach others as well. Another thing I'd say as a 3-6 is storytelling should be a huge part of your marketing, huge. And so it's kind of the same as what I just said, but really being open to even the little things that happen to you in life that make you think, oh, there's something relatable about this story and the way I express my business journey. Tell that story. Get detailed, get specific. These are things that people are going to be like, oh my God, I can't get enough of this human. They're also going to trust you because your stories are your stories. when you're telling your own stories, it gives you that, wow, she's been there, she's done this, she's somebody that I can trust. And then with your line 6, this is your less conscious line, but I want you to really feel into your inherent wisdom with your line 6. It's inside of you, and other people are going to have a really healthy respect for you, even if you're not conscious to it. So allow that to come through as well. Trust that you're respected and that people respect what you have to say. And a lot of the times that's about teaching and educating. So marry your storytelling energy with your teaching energy as 2 of your key pillars in your marketing is what I would suggest. So that's an example of a little bit of a strategy around being a manager in 3-6.
And that's, what we did in the reading that you did with me, in the hour reading, which was so amazing. And I just said, I know just hearing other people's responses to that too, like, don't try and be, just because someone else is like someone else who doesn't have that same, as you say, being on video or camera, like, don't try and do that if it's just against everything that, it's who you are, because it's going to be harder. And so, when you are in alignment, everything falls into place a lot more. As you say, like when you look into your chart, there's different frustrations for each different type. And so you'll start to see that why it doesn't feel good, or why it's not working, or why it feels hard.
100%. It's like this amazing map to get you where you want to go. And you can't fake frequency. You can't fake energy. Like, we know if you're not in alignment.
Things aren't working, or
not consciously, but subconsciously we know. We're like, oh no. Yeah. Disengage.
Oh, we could talk for hours. I know we could. Okay, so just in general, so obviously people could go, if they haven't already, go and get their chart, which I'll put a link in the show notes for people to get it from your website. And then you work with people in terms of, doing that one-on-one. I think you've only just got a few of those. I saw you had some come out again recently.
Yeah, no, I usually only do 90-minute readings, but I've just had a 60-minute offer that's available. So depending when this is released, whether people will have that opportunity. But I do readings, and I work with people in business coaching containers where we work on marketing aligned to human design, amongst other things. So private coaching, and then I also have a couple of courses. Like, I have a bundle that's just $55, which is really great value if you want to dip your toe. And I have I have a much more extensive and robust program called the Frequency Project that is for those that are like, oh my God, I can't get enough of this, so I need to know.
And that's it. And it's just every time I, look at something new or hear some of your stories, or you look at your carousels or whatever it might be, I'm like, oh, you're learning something new all the time. There's just so much to learn about it. And you can dive deeper and deeper, or you can just, scratch the surface and just have a little look and see what aligns for you and what works for you.
You will never know your human design fully. You just can't. It's like, it's a never ending. I think it's a gift that keeps on giving. There's just more and more layers.
Well, on that, before you even say that, like, there's a whole list of gifts that every person has different ones. And so even reading about those is fascinating to go, oh, right, not everyone. And I think that one of my realizations was, oh, not everyone is the same. Like, right, I get that that's something different about me that I didn't realize was different about me.
That's a very 3-line comment. It really is, because they're like so busy, like out there doing all the things, and they're expecting everybody else to kind of be doing that too. And then they're like, people don't like taking risks. They don't like going and, like, they're scared. They don't want to jump off cliffs. Oh, that's weird. Oh, right. They're not like me.
That is so funny. Yeah, okay. So I can't wait to hear how people respond to listening to this, and to, see what things come up for them and what they've discovered about themselves. And hopefully they can live in a more aligned way to their human design. And it just can take them off on a journey. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you. I am super glad that we managed to have this chat, and I can't wait for people to, follow you and learn more about your story too. And obviously I'll put in the link, but it's Yvette Mayer it's at Yvette Mayer, isn't it, on Instagram?
Yeah,
underscore at the end. Yeah. Okay, awesome. We'll put those links in there, and we'll look forward to hearing people's feedback. All right. Thanks, Yvette.
Bye now.
Thank you so much for listening to the Lotco Business Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you subscribe to receive future episodes as they are released. And I'd be so grateful for a review on Apple Podcast. If you would like a copy of the show notes or any of the links mentioned today, please jump onto my website at thelotco.com.au/podcast. Have an amazing week, and I look forward to chatting to you again soon.